Welcome to 24 Holiday Tips for Savvy Homeowners, brought to you by HomeTipsforWomen.com. Join us each day as Tina and her guests bring you a holiday tip to fill your home with more joy and less stress. And now, here's your host, Tina Gleisner.
Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of 24 Holiday Tips. We're so glad to have you here because the holidays are a really busy time of year, and often we forget to make time for ourselves because one of the important things is we have to remember that the holidays aren't just about shopping and buying gifts. The holidays are really about people and creating memories. And so I find that if you plan out your holiday activities, you're going to be much happier with what actually happened. And I've got 4 Ds to share with you. The first one is delegate. As women, we think we have to do it all, but we don't. So start trying to share some of those responsibilities with your family. The next is try to do things together because everything's more fun when you're doing it with a friend. The third item on the list of Ds is it's okay to drop things off the list. You don't have to keep doing things just because you've always done them that way. And if you follow those 3 rules, then you should have some free time to delight yourself because the holidays are meant for everyone, including you, to have a fantastic time. And with that, I want to introduce our guest for today. Brenda Rivas is a business coach. Her company is Avante Strategy, and she's going to share with us tips on using cookies and making the traditions around baking cookies really much broader than the cookies themselves to create family traditions like baking cookies that bring joy to everyone involved year after year. Welcome, Brenda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tina. I'm so excited to be on with you and your audience. I appreciate it.
So let's start off and just let me ask you, what's your favorite holiday activity?
So I love that question, and hands down, it's our traditional baking weekend. And that is something that we have been doing actually since I was a child. Truth be told, in my own household, we didn't have that kind of tradition, but there was a neighbor that lived on our street, and this was in upstate New York where I'm originally from, and I'll never forget her. Her name was Mrs. Fay, and Mrs. Fay had this tradition where the Friday after Thanksgiving, she got all of the neighborhood kids together, and we spent the entire day baking. And so that was instilled in me at a very young age. And, fast forward all these years later, I have also continued that tradition with my own family.
So let's go talk about the traditions you have for your family and which ones you brought from the family you grew up with and which ones you've created that are new. I'd love to hear what your traditions are.
Sure, absolutely. So, besides the cookie baking, one of our traditions that I love as well that I've instilled in my own family is the Friday after Thanksgiving. We typically do go shopping, and we do our baking on that Saturday and Sunday, primarily the Saturday. But Friday, we do the usual shopping. There is something about the hustle and bustle and the busyness of the stores that I actually do enjoy. And so we do that, and, of course, by the time we get home, we're exhausted. And we have a tradition where we rent a couple of movies, and everyone gets in their pajamas. And this, of course, is, early afternoon, and we just spend the rest of the day eating Thanksgiving Day leftovers and just watching movies and just really being with each other. And that's something that I know for sure that my children look forward to. And it's something that it's a memory that we create year after year And I think, when we think back on it, it's just one of those times of the year where we know that no matter what's happening in the world or in our own lives, we can always count on those particular days for us to just be solid as a family and just really enjoy our time together and eat and laugh and just be silly. And that's one of my favorite traditions in our family.
Is there a favorite movie you watch every year?
Yes, The Grinch. And it's so interesting because I think we all know the words to the entire movie. I know one of my children does. And so it's really funny, and they start to imitate the Grinch and all of that. But that is definitely a staple in our home, is the Grinch. Right.
So what other holiday traditions do you have?
So in terms of, something that I have carried over from my family is that, my family is originally from Puerto Rico and Cuba. And so there are certain dishes that are made throughout the holidays as well. And one of them in particular, the Spanish word is pasteles. And basically what that is, it's pretty complicated, right? It's not that it's complicated, it's time-consuming. There's a lot of time that goes into preparing these, and basically it's a combination of like sweet potatoes and other yams, and then they get grinded, and then they get stuffed with meat. So you can choose whatever kind of meat you'd like to have, and so they're absolutely delicious. But because they're so time consuming, it really just turns into this amazing day where the family, again, because it requires a lot of people to assemble them and get all of everything together. So it really turns out to be this traditional day where you've got just the different generations together, and you primarily spend the entire day assembling these, and you make them in bulk, right? Because again, they're a little bit harder to make, and they take a lot of time. So normally you make like 100, 200 of these, and you wrap them up in either foil, or there's other methods of wrapping these, and then you freeze them. And so the idea, the tradition is that they last the entire month of December. So, you can have these with a lot of your normal traditional meals. You just boil them for an hour, and then there you go. You can add that on to your traditional meal. So that's really one of the traditions that has been with me since I was young. Now, me personally, I don't really make these, but I do contribute to the family tradition as well. And it's more really about like the elders actually making them, and then the younger ones, we're watching and we're helping out wherever we can. But it's more, again, the feeling of just having the family together, and it's something that we have been doing for many, many years. I mean, since I was a child.
Right. So it sounds fascinating. So are they like hors d'oeuvres?
You know what, I would say it's actually a form, if you're familiar with a tamale, like a Mexican tamale, it kind of looks like that, but the coloring is a bit darker, but it takes on that shape of a tamale. So it is wrapped in either like a corn husk, or, in my family they wrap them up with the banana leaves, and then you can wrap them in foil just so that they keep in the freezer. But it really, I would say it's like a cousin of a tamale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very neat. So what do your kids think of them?
My kids don't like them. My kids don't like them, and I have found that most of the younger kids don't like them either. So that's what I mean. It's like they're not really into eating them the way that the elders in the family are, but it's just the feeling of everyone being together and everyone socializing. We've got the Christmas music going on, and so it's more of a day that we know that the entire family is going to be together. But in terms of like my kids eating them, they want nothing to do with them.
But they like being part of the activity, being.
Yes.
And do you do that like at your mom's house? Where do you do that?
Yeah, well, typically it's usually at either my mom's house or one of her sister's homes, and so they tend to alternate. But again, it's what you said. It's really just about being together. Yeah.
The family time. And it sounds like you have several of these activities starting with the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so it's almost like you have different traditions throughout the entire month.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so important to me, Tina, especially that nowadays, quite truthfully, it's just a little disheartening to see, especially the younger generation, that they're glued to their iPads or to their smartphones and to electronics and video games. And it's a little disheartening, right, to see the younger generation so disconnected in a big way. And so for me, these traditions and these days that we have set apart to just really enjoy each other's company and laugh and eat and just to really talk to each other, they've really taken on a really important aspect in my family life, because again, everyone nowadays is spending so much time on electronics, and when we have these days in our family, the rule is no electronics. so no electronics at all. Typically, my kids will also, I tell them to invite one or two friends over, and I'm very clear when I say to them, one of the rules is that I want you to choose a friend who you know, based on conversation, that they don't have any family traditions, that maybe they, have a family that's pretty disconnected. And so the rule is that they're supposed to invite one or two friends who could really be stimulated by how we do our family traditions. And so it really turns out to be this day that's electronics free, no phones, no iPads, nothing like that. It's just us being together and talking, communicating, enjoying ourselves.
That's terrific. So, and do you follow those same traditions year after year, or do you change them up? How do you keep it exciting?
That's a great question. And for me, I'm a creature of habit. I don't like change. So for me, it's pretty much the tradition does stay the same. I mean, I might enhance some things here and there, but like, for example, I do make the same types of cookies every single year. And so every now and then my kids will say, well, why don't we add this type of cookie? Or, as my girls are getting older, they're, reading their own cookbooks and magazines, and so they'll come to me with a recipe that they would like to try and add to our to our collection of cookies, so to speak. So, for the most part, we do stick to our tradition, but from time to time we will add new things.
Right. Okay. And what other tips do you have about holiday traditions?
So I would say if you're someone that maybe, hasn't really been that doesn't really have any family traditions, I would say it's never too late to start. I actually have had conversations with some of my kids' parents where, again, it's sort of sad to me to see that people are so astonished that we have these traditions in our family. And so I always say to moms that I have these conversations with, it's never too late. It's okay that you haven't been doing this for, 10 years in a row. Just start, right? Think of the things that are enjoyable to you and your family. Think of ways that you can engage your children. For us, in our family, we're foodies, right? So everything for us revolves around food. So I know that for us, the traditions that really mean the most is when we are, cooking and baking and that kind of thing. So I know for us that's something that's really enjoyable. But I would say find the things that are important in your family and the things that your children will enjoy doing and work through that. And then the other thing, too, that I have found is my kids have now started to get older is that I think I had this belief that, this would only occur while they were younger. And what I have found is as they have gotten older, and I have gotten older, of course, as well, it's like I see the shifting in the responsibilities of the traditions. And that, to me, I never expected that. And that's been very beautiful to see my children evolve and to take part in the tradition without me having to force them so it's not like that. It's something that they are embracing for themselves as well. So it doesn't really matter the age of your children. or even if you don't have children, I think it's just important that you find those things that are important to you, and that you find community in creating these traditions as well.
Do you have an example of where the kids are taking on ownership of some of the traditions?
Yes, actually I have a really great example, which just makes my heart just expand even more. But my middle child, who's now 16, she came to me. And one of the things that we do is that, throughout the month of December, because we really do bake a lot of cookies. And we don't necessarily bake them all on that particular weekend, but we do make a lot of batches and we freeze them. And so throughout the month of December, we'll just continue to bake here and there. And some of the things that we do is that we create baskets, so put the cookies in pretty tins and things like that, baskets, and we deliver them to different food banks. And so one of the things that my 16-year-old brought to the table this year was, she says, Mom, I'd like to deliver cookies to homes where the elderly live, so the elderly homes. And I thought that was really beautiful that idea came totally from her. And so this year we're going to add that. We've selected 5 different senior living homes that we're going to deliver cookies to.
Oh, so like nursing homes.
Yes, the nursing homes, yes.
Oh, what a fantastic idea.
Yes. And one of the things that I didn't mention was that a big part of our baking weekend is me enticing the creativity in the decorating of the cookies. So one of the things that's really, really fun for me and fun for everyone that's participating, adults and children, is that I just go a little crazy on buying decorations for the cookies. And so so what I do is I set up these big tables, and, everyone, after the cookies are cooled and all of that, everyone just kind of sits down and they start to decorate the cookies. And it's really, really nice to see everyone's creativity, right? So the different colors and the different ideas that they come up with for actually decorating the cookies. And when we deliver, so traditionally we've been delivering to food banks, but that's something that that's commentary that we usually get back is, wow, your cookies are beautiful. So I have to say they are beautiful, and they also do taste good.
That's a riot. One of our family traditions is to make gingerbread houses, and I've always been amazed at how my younger son can pile so much candy on for the landscaping. It just boggles my mind, and the more candy there is, he'll find a place to put it.
Yeah, I think that might be a male trait then, because my son tends to do the same thing as well.
Oh, well, these are great holiday traditions that you shared with us, making cookies with the family, all sorts of cooking. And I think the thing that intrigues me most of all is, having several days during the month of December to spend together. It's not all just pushed out to that single Christmas day. I think that's fantastic, because you're right. We really do need to get back to basics and getting together with people, not just texting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, Tina, the rule for the no electronics rule goes for the adults as well. so it's not just for the kids. I have a couple of neighbors that come over as well, and the rule applies to me, it applies to them, it applies to the children, it applies to everyone. While we're enjoying our time, no electronics.
Yeah. So what happens if you get a phone call?
No, all phones are off. They have to be off.
Oh,
that's
so you
the
actually
rule.
turn them off.
Yeah.
Oh, that actually really is a great idea. Yeah. I mean, we forget that we actually have the choice to turn them off.
You're so right about that. I think most people forget that that's even an option. But, yes, the rule is all electronics are off, and we're really, really enjoying our time. Here's what I have found with that. This is part of what really makes, and again, especially in these days where, the smartphone has become a staple, practically. And it's like it's I think that's what stays in people's minds as well, is that, wow, I've really got to have fun, have great food, laugh, and really be with people, and not have to worry about, the email that came through or the phone call that I missed.
Right. And you won't even know you missed it if the phone was off. That's perfect.
Exactly.
Perfect. Yeah. So now I've lost track. Have I asked you what's the most important thing for you during the holidays?
No, so you didn't ask me. That's another really great question. And for me, it's really not, the gifts or that just, to me, honestly feels like pressure, and it feels so superficial. I'm more interested in the experience that I'm going to facilitate for my family and friends, my children. So for me, it's more of how I can make them feel, and how I can, share what I experienced as a child. I mean, again, I will never forget Mrs. Faye. I've never heard from her again. I moved away from that neighborhood when I was, I think, like 12 or 13. Never, ever saw her again. I've tried to find her on Facebook unsuccessfully, but I've never heard from her or seen her again. However, I'll never forget her, right? She shared something very special with me. This happened for a number of years, and it was something that was not present in my own family. And so if I could forward those feelings on to other people, whether they are adult or children, that's really what I'm interested in, is helping people create, that special memory and the feeling that goes with it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Brenda. This has been great, and I'm intrigued about how do you set aside more Saturdays or Sundays for family time throughout the month. That's a challenge, but I think, the first part of meeting a challenge is putting it out there that it's something you want to do. And I think what you shared was great. And if people wanted to connect with you online, where would they find you?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook. Just Brenda.Rivas is my Facebook. Twitter, I'm actually a lot more visible on Twitter than I am on Facebook, and so my Twitter is Brenda Rivas. And my website is avantestrategy.com.
Okay. So signing off for today, this is Tina Gleisner, founder of Home Tips for Women. I'm thrilled that you joined us today. You can come back tomorrow. We've got a tip a day up until the day before Christmas. We'd love to have you, and we also will be sharing this not only on Blog Talk Radio, we also have it on HomeTipsforWomen.com, where you can join in the conversation and leave some comments, because the whole idea here is by sharing our ideas, giving tips, we can all find ways to really create the holiday that we love. Thanks, everyone, and have a happy holiday.
Thank you for joining us today, and we invite you back tomorrow for another Savvy Holiday Tip. Be sure to grab your free gift at SavvyHolidayTips.com. That's SavvyHolidayTips.com.